Hello English language learners. Today we're going to talk about response writing. That is, responding to ideas from reading. So the purpose or the reason of response writing, or a response essay is what we sometimes call response writing, is to understand and critically think about an author and the main ideas and purpose for an article. To be able to summarize and say in our own words or paraphrase an author's important main ideas, to be able to respond or react to what the author is saying in the article, that is to support or defend the point of view of the author, to show your teacher that you've read the article and that you're able to critically think and write about it in your own ideas. So basically, a response is your opinion about an article, ideas in an article, the author's opinion in an article. It's basically your analysis and your response of a reading. So your response requires your reaction to the reading and your interpretation of the ideas from the reading. It will react to the important ideas. Simply, do you agree with the author? Yes or no, and why? And it also provides evidence that supports your opinion or your point of view about why you feel the way you do. So when you react to something or you write a response, you have to support the ideas in your response. So step one is to critically read. That means you really have to think about what you're reading. So first you're going to preview the article, think about the reading, almost like you're asking questions while you read about the ideas in the reading. Or maybe you're asking the author questions. Take really good notes. Remember, good readers take good notes. Mark important ideas from the reading so later you can go back and maybe write a response to some of those really good important ideas. If there's a good idea in the reading you understand, use your pencil and take some notes about that idea. At the end, when you're done, review the main ideas that you just read. Step two is to think about what you should respond about from the reading. So think about your opinions from the reading, or some opinions you had about the ideas in the reading. Is there anything that you can agree or disagree with? Do you have a personal connection or experience to the article or the ideas in the article? Does the article that you just read maybe connect to some other reading or another source about the same topic? So some ways that you can provide evidence to support your response is you can say whether you agree or disagree with the author. Make sure the author is saying something that you can agree with, though. You could also consider what kind of evidence might support your ideas. So do you have a personal experience or connection to the idea in the reading? Is there evidence from the text that agrees with your opinion? Maybe evidence from a source from a different reading? So think about your feelings about a reading and what agrees with you. What supporting ideas can you use to support your ideas? So think about personal experience. Use personal experience to show why you understand the reading. So maybe you have a certain feeling, maybe you agree or disagree, or you have a feeling about the reading. Tell me about your personal experience that connects to that. Do you strongly disagree with the author or an idea in the reading? Maybe, for example, from a high school experience or something you did in a math class or another class. Make a connection to the reading. Just make sure it's a connection that makes sense. 2. Evidence from the reading. So if you have an idea or a feeling about the reading you want to respond to, what other things in the reading might agree with you that you could use to support your ideas? So you could bring in other ideas, maybe from the reading, to support your ideas. 3, evidence or ideas from a different reading or a different source. Another source could be a movie, a poem, an idea from your home country. So think about what other connections you could make. You don't have to research or anything. Just think about maybe if you read something today, what does that remind you of from something we read last week or in a different chapter? If you do talk about another article or a different source, remember to talk about the author and the title of that other source. So the third step is you're going to begin to outline your writing. So if you're writing a response essay, just like any essay, you want to organize this before you begin with an outline. But even if you're only writing a one-paragraph response, you can still have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Your introduction would just be your topic sentence. If this were an essay, you'd have an introduction paragraph, maybe one or more body paragraphs, and then a very short conclusion paragraph. Remember, a response can be one paragraph or it can be many paragraphs. It depends on the assignment and it depends on the teacher and what the teacher expects from you. If it's a short test question that asks for a response, it's probably a paragraph or less. So in an introduction, you're going to tell the title of the article, the author's name, tell me the main idea of the reading you just read in 1 or 2 sentences, and then choose one specific idea from the reading. This could be a quote, and maybe something also in your own words about that quote. At the end of your introduction, you're going to have a thesis, and this is a well thought out statement stating your main point about the article or the essay. So what is your point? What are you going to talk about that you just read? In the body, you're going to tell me the reasons or the feelings you have. So basically your response. So what's the main reason number 1 in your response, reason 2, reason 3? These might be in different paragraphs if you're writing a longer response essay. This is another way to do a body paragraph. Maybe you agree or disagree with an idea. You could tell me point 1 that you agree with or disagree, point 2 you agree with or disagree, point 3 you agree with or disagree. That's going to be in an article where there's maybe 2 sides, like a controversial topic. Remember, you don't need to agree or disagree with all points. Sometimes you're going to have a reading or an idea that there might be nothing to agree with or disagree with. You might just be telling me a connection you have to the reading. And the conclusion is very short. It's at the very end of the essay. You might want to include a final thought, but this is basically a few sentences that's going to be a summary of your entire response. This should be very brief and not include any new information. So remember, make sure you give reasons why you agree or disagree when you respond to something. Give examples, personal experience, facts, any kind of other experience you can connect to an idea. Only agree or disagree with ideas that have a logical reason for you to agree or disagree with them. Think about the meaning of what you're talking about before you begin writing, please. Try to avoid using the words I agree and I disagree a lot. Overusing means using too much. You can use them a little bit, just don't use them all the time throughout your response. So your homework. Here's a quote, and I want you to think about, what does this quote mean? And what do I feel about this? The quote here is, Americans can criticize their government. Now, let's go back here. Review what we just learned about response writing. And think about this quote here. This is from a reading we're going to read in the next chapter. Americans can criticize their government. What does that mean? Americans can criticize their government. Now, I want you to answer these on paper and bring this to class, please. This is your homework tonight. What is the meaning of the quote that you just read? So Americans can criticize their government. What does that mean? Number 2, what do you think about the idea from this quote? What opinions or feelings do you have to respond to about this quote? Write a 1-paragraph response and tell me, what do you think about that quote? Do you agree or disagree? Do you think that's a good idea, a bad idea? Do you think there's some good, some bad? Tell me, what are your feelings about the quote, Americans can criticize their government. Bring in the answers for questions 1, 2, and 3 to class tomorrow. You can write this on paper. Thank you, students.